What's going on out there, ladies and gentlemen? We are back for another after show discussion on summertime rendering or summertime render, depending on where you're looking at it at. This is going to be for episode 9 and 10, so we can go ahead and get everybody caught up. Hopefully next week we will have Matt back, but for right now you have me and Lucas. What's going on, Lucas?
They stole that shot from Double Team with John Claude Van Damme.
Oh, really?
I know I saw that shot somewhere. I think it's called Double Team. No, Double Impact. When he played Twins.
I remember that foolishness. And then he played Twins twice. He played that with Time Cop too and something else.
Nah, he wasn't a twin in Time Cop. That's my movie.
What's
I'm not gonna tell you the only scene I remember from Time Cop because that would be so suspect.
Wait,
But
I thought Time Cop was him in two different time zones. Like it was him, an older version of
It
him and a
was.
younger version of him. Oh, okay.
I'm just
got it,
not sure. Like, I only remember the split from Time Cop because as a kid I was like, "Oh, that has to hurt." But and the dude who stole money from the old west with a AK-47. Like
Right.
those are the two things I remember from Top Cop. But that shot right there was very reminiscent of Double Impact as episode 9 of Summertime opens up and we find out that Ushio knew her shadow. I think that's the
Right.
most that answered
right.
lots of questions
Yes.
we had about the shadow and Ushio and how it went back in time. How were they so comfortable with everything? Because again, we understood the shadow was different. But we didn't understand that she had a relationship with the shadow.
Right.
And here at the end of episode 8 is when they unlock Yushio's phone. And then we get the video being played with Ushio and the shadow. As Ushio says, if you see this, I'm dead. And you're standing next to my shadow.
Right. It was just interesting how that all played out because by the end of everything being revealed, the Yushiro that's present, the shadow that's present, retained all the data that she needed to be able to move forward because she couldn't even tap into her abilities. She didn't have any memories, but by the end of it, she got all of it. But like you said, in this episode, it kind of revealed, they knew each other. They started to try to figure out what they could really do, what they were capable of, and then they also tried to see if they could stop some of these shadows themselves. Unbeknownst to them, they were in a lot of danger. And it was just interesting watching both of them. Because there was times, I don't know if you felt this way, but there were times that I was kind of like, who's the real Ushiro? Sometimes I really couldn't distinguish who was who. Even down to their very last moments when they got pulled under by the little girl shadow. I at first was like, wait, who just died? Like, was it both of them? Or did it one of them died and then the other one got saved? But it was down to the wire that I was kind of like, this is really fascinating. What did you think about it?
They at first cleared it up and went right back to confusing you. So they cleared it up when Yushiro gets home from the beach and you see the shadow in the black shirt and she steps. And when she stepped on it, she hurt the shadow and the shadow moved backwards. I said, okay, cool. I know which one is the shadow. And then when we get to the shadow transforming into the necklace, which again lets us know a different power that these shadows have.
Right.
Or even going back a little bit, I think before the shadow transformed into the necklace, we had the issue where the other shadow attempted to copy Yushiro again.
Yeah.
Because I think in the last episode, prior to episode 9, episode 8, I think it was explained to us that once you copied once, you can't be copied again.
Right.
That clearly can't be the case.
Right, because she got copied again, and I don't know if it retained all the data, but it was.
But remember though, it didn't fully copy either.
Right.
It was it copied like a monster.
It did. It was really volatile. And thankfully, Yushiro, the shadow's hair is like blades, which is really weird. But yeah, it was, I don't know, man. It was a lot. It was a lot that happened in both of these episodes. I'm trying not to blame
episode 9 helps us understand who Yushiro is, what the things she took, the steps she took to save Shiro. Am I saying that right? Shira? One of them two. The little girl.
The little girl? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the steps she was taking to save the little girl, because the little girl is the first one who brought up shadows
right
to Yushiro.
That's right. That's right.
And her and Yushiro were talking about it, and she went on this mission to protect her. So that's why when Yushiro saw her shadow, she wasn't shocked as much because she understood what they were.
Mm-hmm.
But it was clear, as they pointed out in this episode, this shadow is different. But it's only different because it's not acting on the impulse. Because it's pointed out in this episode, the shadow definitely has the impulse to kill Yushiro. And say, I don't know. Normally I would have killed you by now, but something is telling me not to.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think that is the interesting part here as we go through Yushiro's progression, her getting to the old clinic and her shadow trying to figure out exactly what's going on with the old clinic. That's when she was copied again by a different shadow.
Right.
Here we realize shadows can take different shapes if need be. Which is something also.
Do you think it's shapes of what they were wearing once they were copied, or you think it's any shape that they wanted? Because I felt like
I want to say it's because we're just talking about episode 9, but I think we can blur the lines between the two and it'd be perfectly fine
at this point
because we're doing 9 and 10. Clearly, it's any object because remember, Shinpei, the nail gun he's using is a copy created by Ushio.
Right.
And then they go to the whole explanation of how things when the friend, the tall guy, I cannot remember his name.
Hair.
Off the top of my head.
Orange hair.
When he was talking about copying the nail gun so they could have 2 nail guns. And Shinpei goes into the explanation like, hey, if we copy something that has an engine that runs off gas, anything of this nature, it cannot be fully functional unless the prior item is destroyed. So anything with working mechanics can't be copied, including humans, unless once it's copied, it doesn't work properly unless the other thing is dead. Or gone. I'm not gonna say dead because if it's a machine, it's not dead. But anything that other than that is gone. So then that's why we have the issue with Yushiro and her shadow, because her shadow can't even fully heal, as we saw in episode 9.
Right.
Like she could copy Yushiro again, but the copy only appears that she's been healed. She actually couldn't be re-healed at that point in time. But now it brings a question up because in episode 10, when she's wounded again and she sees like the blood flowing, and she said, oh, I just copied. Like, why am I not fully healed? When Yushiro's actually gone at this point.
Right, she's supposed to be dead. She's already
remember,
dead.
The shadow that hurt her didn't hurt the physical body, it hurt the shadow body.
Ah, true.
So that's what, but again, that's why that's the way copying works. Again, this episode does a lot to explain what shadow, how to make a shadow, the powers that shadows have, because these are things we had questions about. We clearly had questions about how the hell did we got 2 Yushiros at one point in time. When we understood the shadows tend to kill or want to kill the one thing they copy. And this shadow has always been different.
Right.
And not wanting to do that. But not only that, we now find out this shadow worked with Yushiro to save people.
Which is fascinating. But there's something also that happens in episode 9 as well, towards the back half of it, because of course, unfortunately, the little girl didn't make it, and she attempts to kill both versions of Ushiro by any means necessary, and starts pulling it through. They end the video, but within the video, Shin was looking at it, and all of a sudden, like this, it transformed from the little girl to what we now know as mother, and it marked him through the video. Like, it put a print on him, and I don't know what that means. Because you're not supposed to be affected by something that happened in the past, right?
But I think that goes back to them not knowing that shadows can replay the past for other people.
Right.
I'm going to say a weird thing here, right? Of what this reminded me of. You remember Constantine when they had to go into the electric chair to get shocked, and he went into hell, and he
Yeah.
was looking for the sister, and then he had to call on Midnight to pull him out.
Right. Papa
It
Midnight,
fully
yeah.
reminded me of that, of telling me anything can be played in a way where you think you're safeguarded, and then something greater can always affect you feeling that you're safeguarded. So
Exactly.
here, it's pointed out when Yushiro was drowning to the bottom,
Mhm.
and when the other shadow from Shura, I'm
Yeah.
gonna get this name
The
right
little
eventually.
girl. Yeah.
The little girl attacked her of what her shadow did to Yushiro's shadow.
Right.
And they point that out like that was something different. She's way more powerful than Yushiro's shadow was. And then we see the turn when Mother takes over. So I'm assuming Mother can morph into the subconscious of any shadow.
Which is the most
But
dangerous
when
thing in the
she
world.
does, it doesn't matter if you're in, as long as you're around that shadow, she can possibly do it. And that's what led her to mark Shinpei when she said, I've been looking for you, but you won't get away again.
That's crazy. That's scary because technically, if hypothetically speaking, he took a picture of that thing, it could have still touched him.
Yeah.
So yeah, that raises a lot of questions. And is it because he has her eye? The other thing that they don't necessarily answer between both of these episodes is how
He can
the
travel.
original Ushiro got the eye to begin with.
Yes.
We still don't know. Some kind of way, we still don't know because at this point
Or
she's dead.
was it the shadow Yushiro that gets the eye?
I figured that the shadow Ushiro, because remember at the end of the episode, she retained all her memories. So we would think that she would have said something.
But it was the shadow who said, I need to get in touch with Shinpei so he could go back and stop all of this. It wasn't the original.
Ooh, you're right.
It wasn't the original Yushiro said it. It was the shadow Yushiro that said it.
True.
So maybe the thing that has been talking to Shinpei this entire time has been the shadow. Meaning you need to save Miho. You need to do all that. Maybe that was a shadow talking to him, trying to make it right for Yushiro, who sacrificed her life to save her.
And it would make more sense that she would have the ability to take the eye from Mother to give to him. Because,
There
like you
you go.
said, they're all linked. Mother is linked to any
Yep.
shadow. It's just for some reason this Ushiro shadow is very different.
Well, we get to talk about it in episode 10 when Yushiro Shadow can feel other shadows
right
in its presence. Like that is different. We didn't even know shadows can do that.
right. It's weird though. With episode 10, do you think that Ushiro should have called or at least made contact with the old man and the writer? Because I felt like that would have made the most sense as opposed to
You
going
mean
into a
Shinpei?
sewer. Yeah. Shinpei should have contacted the novelist and the old man at least to let them know what they're doing.
I think at this point, Shinpei is all about like trying to solve this on his own. Like he feels like he's attacked shadows. Again, we get a hint that something happened to his parents, and I'm wondering, is it a shadow thing that happened with his parents when he brings that up out the blue? Like, I've been doing this since mom and dad died. Like, that's new. We haven't had that discussion yet about Shinpei's parents. So, I mean, I would have wanted him to contact them, but maybe he has his friends with him and he's thinking we can do this.
Right. The only thing about Shin that doesn't add up to me is that Shin, he's really just a human, supposedly. But yet he's able to retain the mother's eye. And all things that we've seen at this point is that, these shadows can be able to work and coexist with each other.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm wondering, especially when like you said, like we saw a shadow copy itself again. We saw that they can feel each other. We saw that now they can transform into inanimate objects.
Mm-hmm.
We still don't necessarily know the how and the why of when Shinpei got there. what really happened. I'm wondering if he might be a shadow too, because at this point now, looking at how the Ushiro shadow is, you wouldn't know it was a shadow outside of certain things.
But the
So I don't
shadows are
know.
only on that island.
Right.
He got to that island after the shadows arrived.
True.
So I don't think he's a shadow. It would be odd if he was one. But we have to get to the point of explaining how did he get the eye.
Yeah. The how.
And we're not there yet. Because remember, I want to say in the first episode, was it the first episode he dies in the forest, killed by the Shadow Miho?
The very first episode, the end of the episode, it ended with Mio shooting the novelist, killing Mio, and then shooting him in the head.
I want to go back, right? But and the reason I want to go back, because I swear, in that first episode, was he given a shell necklace?
Yeah, the Mio gave him Ushiro's shell necklace because she said that she would have wanted you to have it.
There you go.
Wait, what are you saying?
She gave him Ushiro's shadow.
Oh, from the beginning. That's what it was.
Ushiro's shadow was able to transform into the shell necklace.
True. Oh, so it was with him the whole entire time. So probably each time he's been traveling, he didn't know, and she probably didn't realize what she was. That's weird, bro. I don't know. This is a trip. So, okay, in episode 10, they decide, like, now Ushiro Shadow fully understands her abilities. She's got all the data retained, and they, start to talk about what they should do, what steps should they take, and they're like, all right, well, we need to go back to the location where the doctor is, or not where the doctor, professor, doctor?
the old clinic.
Yeah, the old clinic, because old dude's dad, he still doesn't know why his dad was out there, and I think it has something to do with the shadow that we saw randomly
in the place with him as he was just talking to the shadow in a wheelchair.
Right, but I still don't know what the heck that was. But for whatever reason, they get there, and it seems like there's a shadow there. But when they see what the shadow is, it looks like his head is cut off, and it looks deformed, and it looks like a baby. Literally looks like a baby shadow. I don't understand what the heck that actually is. Can you explain it to me, Luke?
I have the slightest idea what the hell that was. All I saw was a shadow with half his head cut off. I don't know what the hell that was. I wish I can tell you. I don't know. It just seemed weird to me that shadow's head was cut off. But then we see later on when they enter the upside down that there's multiple shadows that way with their head cut off.
Like, do you think this is maybe where the shadows are being birthed? This is where they're...
I think so. Because I think these are the shadows. Remember, it can't see. It could smell though. So maybe these are baby shadows.
It just don't make no sense though.
It doesn't. I was trying to figure that shit out. I was confused exactly what was going on there. It fully didn't make any sense to me. We saw him eating a little rat or something, but he wasn't copying the rat.
Nah, it was just eating it. It was just eating a rat. I don't know what the heck this thing is, man. It makes no sense. And by the way, you guys, I don't know who made this Photoshop, but she had just got her eating food. Now, it doesn't make sense why this shadow is actually physically eating food. But yeah, that's why her stomach's like that.
But no. Remember, the cop shadow was eating food when he went to the restaurant.
True.
Remember, when they're copied fully, there's no difference between them and human with their shadow. So I think they do everything the same exact way. But they still get the same cravings.
But if that's the case, can a shadow reproduce then if it was with a regular human?
Who says it couldn't?
I don't know. I have no idea.
Nothing said that it couldn't.
So you saying anything's on the table at this point?
Hey, at this point, maybe Shinpei has that eye because, well, no, he said the eye changed. Because I'm about to say maybe his mom was a shadow that made it with his dad. You never know at this point with this show.
Yeah, they're not holding back any punches, and it is creepy as a mug most of the majority of the time. And every single episode, this is hard for us, you guys. Whether you guys know it or not, it's taken a lot to retain a lot of this information because each episode has got its own stuff that you can dissect. We're really cutting this down to like less than 20 minutes, but really there's a lot to go over.
As they call it, the brass tacks of the episodes. Because again, both of these episodes run into each other. So from it being Ushio fully explaining to us what a shadow is, how her powers work, to episode 10, where right after the replay of what happened, we get even more explanations of what shadows can do.
Right.
From the multiple things she can copy, as long as the data in her head can retain it, to in episode 9 where they talk about the data, and that's all the shadow is technically data copied over and over again. And then from them to explaining that she could turn into different shapes if necessary, which we did not know. Remember, she used her hair to turn into the key.
Right.
She didn't physically turn into the key though.
Right.
Like again, something else. So is it a body part or any follicle on their body that they can take off to copy an inanimate object?
Yeah.
I think that is what they're hinting towards, with her taking a string of her hair out and making that key.
Right.
Now, as it pertains to the statues and what their meanings are, that is not part of my culture. I don't know what that means. I'm assuming because of the way they were talking about it, it has some deep meaning. I would not know.
Yeah, I ain't gonna lie. Like that was one of those moments I wish that it was dubbed, so I could really focus and hone in on what I'm seeing versus what I'm reading.
Hey, that's
because otherwise I would have had to.
Matt possibly knows.
Right.
When we do next episode and Matt comes back, Matt's gonna have to explain to us what that thing that looks like a squid or whatever that was supposed to be, exactly what that means. I don't know.
Because I was like, are they saying that this is alien? Because honestly, that's not. I was thinking like this is a dead thing and it's being looked at as a godlike whatever, and it's
one of the godlike statues that they had in the medical place, but it felt out of place, as they pointed out, because why would this be here?
Right.
But then that's when we get to the secret key, the cavern under the hospital, and they go to the upside down with all the rest of the shadows.
Upside down. So one last thing, and I brought this picture out intentionally. Now, granted, she's a shadow, and she's emitting light.
Because remember when Shinpei said, "Hey, can't you flash without copying?" That's another thing we didn't know that could happen.
That's so weird, bro. That's so weird. Because it seems like Ushiro's on a different level than the other shadows.
It seems like Ushio is Jubilee. I know Jubilee powers when I see them.
Oh man. But yeah, no, this is man, I don't think we can pull much more outside of theorizing. So yeah, we're gonna rest it here from now, episode 9 and 10. Hopefully you guys enjoyed our discussion.
Hey, you see how we did that?
Right.
Less than 30 minutes.
Right.
Ran through both episodes. I don't think we missed a point in either episode because again, both of them were kind of straightforward this week in exactly what was happening as we get to them being in the cave full of shadows. All that's wondering is, what did this mean with all of these baby shadows walking around?
Right.
Because that's an odd thing. Because remember, we thought at one point in time, Shiro shadow could create other shadows. Here we see these shadows are already actually created. So what are they doing pertaining to copying people? As we get with Shinpei when he's like gung-ho on forwarding and not being scared of anything. And I love the part where Ushio says to the friend, like, the reason why is because he understands where this ends at.
Right.
So there's no time for him to be scared. Down to him saying about the nail gun. Important to remember.
He did.
Ushio copied the nail gun. If he ran out of nails, all she would have to do was use the data from her copying it, and it would refresh it with nails.
That's ridiculous.
That's something to pay attention to, because that's not something throwaway at all.
I agree. I completely agree. So we'll see where this goes. Hopefully y'all enjoyed our discussion. Make sure you go and check out our Spy Family discussion as well. We just got done with episode 11, Stella, and I'm theorizing that there's going to be a new show coming up that we're going to probably try to cover. I'm not going to push this on Lucas because Lucas got a lot going on with just these two.
It's definitely a new show from Apple Plus and a show from Amazon, along with The Old Man that me and Sam will be covering. But you can also check out The Boys, which we're doing. You can check out Obi-Wan, which is coming up on the last episode that we're doing. You can check out Miss Marvel because somebody is doing it. I don't know who, because I don't watch Marvel shows. We got lots of content along with coverage from the Tribeca Film Festival, which will be coming soon, along with a certain God of Thunder review that should be dropping by the end of the month.
Yeah, we're good. All right, you guys. Peace, everybody.
Filing out the top of the
I can see the skyline, 50 mile radius on my timeline. Ain't nothing